tomorrow. So certainly put on a hat, wear some sunscreen if you're out and about. Joining me now from Skegness is our correspondent, Fraser Maud. Fraser, I can't see if you've got your budgie smugglers on there, but how warm is it in Skegness?
Trust me, you wouldn't want to see, even if I had, Jane. So it is pretty warm, I can tell you that, at least. About 22, 23 at the moment. Nice little sea breeze coming in just to take the edge off it. So pretty much perfect conditions down here in Lincolnshire at Skegness. Tomorrow, as you say, going to get warmer. Here in Lincolnshire, it's going to be about 30 degrees. Bit warmer for you down south there, 34 maybe. So potentially, definitely, we would assume it's going to break the hottest day of the year so far. Today, it's looking likely that that's going to happen. And then come the weekend, of course, come the weekend, the weather starts to go off slightly. Not too bad. It is just easing off on those temperatures, dropping down into the mid to high teens for a couple of days before it then starts to build up again next week. So it is a real hot spell. It's a heat wave, you could call that, but spare a thought for the people over in Europe, in France and Spain. Temperatures there in Paris getting up to something like 40 degrees, which is pretty unbearable, certainly in a city centre environment. So you've got to feel sorry for them. And in Spain, they're saying that this is the earliest that summer has come for something like 40 years. In France, it's the earliest summer has come, the earliest heat wave they've had on record, in fact. So these heat waves are becoming more and more prevalent. These extreme weather events that we've been seeing, we've seen storms now, we're seeing extreme heat across Europe. These events are becoming more and more frequent, and they are happening earlier in the year. There does seem to be a shift that summer now is moving forward. In Spain, in fact, they've estimated something like about 22 days or so over the last 50 years. The start of the heat waves, the start of the really hot weather has moved forward in the year. So we can see that there's a lot of change, and of course many people will put that down to climate change and the climate crisis. But here in Skegness, people are soaking up the sun. The advice, as always, when we get hot weather like this, stay hydrated, get the sun cream on. If you're worried about when you get home at night, or if you're struggling at home, keep the curtains drawn, keep the direct sunlight out of your house. That might give you a little bit of respite in terms of the temperature. Try and get a through breeze going through the house as well. Try and get a circulation of air with a couple of windows open if you can. If you're struggling at night as well in these particularly hot temperatures, particularly for the old and the very young, the over 65s and young people, the under 5s, you need to keep a particular eye on them to make sure they're well hydrated. It might be worth moving them to a room downstairs to keep them a little bit cooler. Of course, the beautiful weather does bring some sort of problems. Hot weather like this, it's estimated, creates something like an extra 2,000 unexpected deaths each year when we get hot weather like this. The majority of those in over 65s, and the majority of the problem there is overheating and dehydration. So that's the watchword. Keep yourself hydrated. Make sure you keep the water getting on board, particularly for the little ones, particularly for the elderly. And try and keep your cool. Not too easy for a lot of people, particularly for you guys down in London there. 30 degrees in a city centre environment can be pretty oppressive. That's what it's going to be today. Tomorrow, maybe up to 34 or so. And then, as I say, easing off at the weekend, something like high teens probably for the weekend. A little bit more tolerable. But down here in Skegness, we've got school trips out here. Best school trip you could have, isn't it? Down onto the beach for an ice cream. And people on the wheel there will be getting a fantastic view across the sea, a little bit hazy, but the weather is beautiful, and I guess there's no better place for me to be today than here in sunny Skeggy.
Fantastic. Very pleased for you, Fraser. Thanks very much. Fraser Maud there is off to get an ice cream.